Brisbane go out in straight sets by losing to the Bulldogs.
The Cats have a comprehensive victory over the Giants in Perth.
And we're going to the prelim on Friday.
This is the DrewFooty Show.
Hey, long road, took a tumble down this black hole. Stuck in Sunday league, but I'm on
Hello, you
levels
fellas, and welcome
with
back to another
Ronaldo.
episode of the DrewFooty Show. Make sure you go follow DrewFooty _ Instagram account. Next.
Who's Instagram?
Get out of it.
It's a good username if your name's
I
Graham.
just went like that and it was bird poo. Trying to hit 6k by the end of September, Jesse. These people can make it happen. This is how many people aren't subscribed. Stop being pigs.
What a shocking amount.
The first game of the round was Geelong versus GWS in Perth, and I didn't go, and nor did you. But you did stream the game, and it was a very slow start, Jesse. 2 goals to nothing in the first quarter in favour of Geelong. Why was it so slow?
I mean, I don't really know how to answer that, Drewzy. I guess it was just kind of a game where there was a lack of end product, particularly early. Kicks inside 50 weren't great, and then the shots at goal weren't great either. So it was just a slow, sluggish start to the game, which sometimes happens.
GWS responded with the next 2 goals, but I've got a theory that I definitely made up, and I've called it Newton's third law, and it's every action has an equal and opposite reaction.
Oh, you made that up.
Yeah,
Nice.
they come the end of Newton.
Impressive.
That's how I see Geelong play. Like, as soon as they get like 2 or 3 goals kicked on them, they'll kick the next 4 or 5. You know what I mean? Like they once the momentum swings against them, it swings back their way, and they kick the next 3 after that.
There were times where like the Giants were sort of in control and then Geelong were in control, but the difference was when Geelong got an opportunity, they took it and the Giants couldn't, and then the scoreline sort of blew out, even though it felt like a more even game.
The highlight of the game for me was Bobby Hill's goal, which probably would have been goal of the year if it was in the regular season. Dribbled it like LeBron James down the flank, 3 dribbles, ended up in the forward pocket, and then controls the ball, gathers, nice little drop punt from the boundary.
Someone
Absolutely
get that man a
electric.
napkin.
What is that?
3 dribbles.
But after that, it was all the Cats in the third quarter. They kicked 5 unanswered goals. GWS got one on the siren, on the 3/4 time siren, with Shane Mumford kicking probably the last goal he'll ever kick in AFL football. It looks like he's gonna retire. Big mummy. Haynes went forward and got a goal. Bobby Hill set up Stones with a nice little dribble tap over his shoulder. And I think Himmelberg got his first of the game in that 4th quarter. So they started to claw their way back slowly but surely. And Geelong, they were out of control of this game at times, but they finished strong and ended up winning comfortably by over 30 points, I believe. Something like that.
Hawkins was a big factor in this game.
Yeah, in that 4th quarter in particular.
Yeah, kicked 5 goals. I think he had, 19 possessions? I could be making that up, to be honest. But either way, it was the sort of game where like all these marks kind of stuck and they won by 5 goals. He kicked 5. It was something that GWS sorely lacked, and I think Hogan on top of Green out was a bit of a blow for the Giants.
James _Sned has asked, what does this mean for Leon Cameron, and are the Giants serious contenders next year? I go first. I think I'm going to tip GWS to go into the top 4 this year because because their best this season has been right up there. They've been able to compete with the best sides. It's just been the consistency against the sides outside of the top 8 which has held them back from being great this season. But I think if they can get that right, they'll be Gucci. Leon Cameron will continue on as coach next season of GWS after a very shaky start to 2021. That's my input.
Yeah, I think you have to give Cameron a passing grade for this year. They've won a final after slipping out of the final, so he's brought it back to a respectable level, and they also had a lot of injuries this year. So I'll reserve my top 4 prediction because I really need to think about that one before I start throwing wild predictions out there, but I certainly agree with the logic there.
We're going to review or preview the games for next week, the prelims on just the tips, but I think the key to victory for Geelong is they just can't keep losing control of games, especially against Melbourne. Like, Melbourne are one of those sides that will punish you. They're set up soundly defensively, so if you lose control against the Ds, you're going to find it hard to score. You're not going to be able to kick those 5 goals that you kicked against GWS, although they did it a couple weeks ago and only ended up losing by a point. It's going to be an absolute cracker of a game, and we're going to it. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I still don't know if I'm entirely convinced by Geelong's form. Yeah, I think they need to raise up a few levels before they convince me they're going to beat Melbourne, so we'll see what happens.
On to the other game, which was Brisbane versus the Bulldogs, and the Lions out in straight sets again. They're going to get the losers of the week this week, Jesse. The Lions.
Okay, sorry, you go.
Yes, the Lions out in straight sets, losers of the week, and the winners of the week, I'm going to give to the Bulldogs. Yeah! The fact that they slipped out of the top 4 and still made a prelim, massive big ups to them. And we've got a nomination here for the Bloke of the Week, and it comes from Rackers 2003, and he nominates Bailey Smith for the Bloke of the Week, and much to your disgust, Jesse, I'm going to give it to him. He's got a big fat mullet, so that is like number one criteria for Bloke of the Week, and he iced this game. He pointed to his veins. I've got ice in my veins, paying homage to Ben Cousins.
He is... He's going to be inviting a few drug tests this week. Bailey Smith makes me cringe a little bit. He's a good player. Come on, man.
He's played every game since he got drafted, eh?
Is that right?
Yeah, 65 games in 3 years.
Yeah, he was fantastic, though. 3 goals and 27 possessions, including the sealer on his left. I just thought, you just love yourself, don't you?
You would if you were Bailey Smith, though. I mean, come on. Look at him. You are the Bloke of the Week. Right. Libba kicked the game off with 2 goals for the Bulldogs, and he's rediscovered some of that form which he had in the middle of the season. He sort of dwindled away a little bit, but he's back, baby. He was very good for the Bulldogs at the start in that first quarter. Charlie Cameron started off the game very strong again, like he did against Melbourne. He had 3 goals in that first quarter. And that third one that he kicked in the first quarter, he gathered the ball, just turned on the jets, settled, and kicked it from 40. It was a tough kick at the speed he was going. That is top draw, elite level stuff from Charlie Cameron. And he's probably been, although the Lions have gone out in this final series, he's probably been one of the best players in the finals so far.
Yeah, I agree. That goal was really impressive because he was just at full speed, and it was on an angle as well. It wasn't like a drop punt, straight. It was,
had to sort of kick across his body a bit.
Yeah, there's no way. I was going to say there's no way I could have kicked that goal at full speed, but there's a lot of things I couldn't do.
The second quarter was very back and forth. Norton had a big juggling mark and a good set shot. He's kicked 43 goals this year, I think, so he's actually had quite a good year for as much that I hate him. Waitman popped up with a crafty goal, and Mitch Robinson had a composed finish from 40 as well. So it was back and forth. Heading into the half-time break, it was 1 point, which the game, funnily enough, ended up being the final margin. You get what I'm trying to say. Waitman went off with a concussion as well, and he's been really important for them this season. He's going to be a massive out for them next week. Zach Bailey and Hugh McCluggage opened up the goals for the Lions in the second half, and they sort of got out to a bit of breathing space. Coleman was massive in that third quarter, had a couple goal-saving tackles just about. Lester, the sub, came on and got a goal, but then Joe Hannison replied straight away, and after that, the Dogs had kicked 4 goals straight and were ahead out of nowhere. McRae kicked the first of the fourth quarter, the All-Australian. What a season he's had.
Amazing performance from him as well.
Bailey Smith set up Shaki and then kicked a goal for himself. And the Dogs fully had the momentum at this point in the game. There was a contentious out-of-bounds call, Jesse.
This really pissed me off. It was against Caleb Daniel in the last couple of minutes of the game. The ball's like in the air and he tries to soccer it forward.
Oh, I did see that.
And and basically the ball comes off the side of his foot and goes out of bounds, and they say insufficient attempt. And the reason it triggered me so much is that it well and truly could have cost them the game.
Yeah.
Lachie Neale kicked a point, and if Brisbane had won that game, I think the Dogs would have been robbed. Mind you, they say the free kick count was way too ahead of the Dogs, but still, the umpire's got to do better in that situation.
There was a pretty soft free kick given in the favour of the Bulldogs. I think 2 players just ran into each other when there was an inside 50 for Brisbane.
Right.
And then that led to Bailey Smith's goal at the other end.
Okay.
He got the hands from Mitch Hannon, left foot on the boundary, beautiful ice in the veins. I thought the game was just about done then, but it wasn't. Zach Bailey, one of my favourite players in the competition to watch, just sold the candy to about 3 players and then just run into acres of space just from just high footy IQ, composed finish, drew the game level. And then I think it was Vandermeer just dribbled one across the line to put him up by a point. And that was all she wrote.
Underrated moment, actually. Everyone's talking about all the stuff that before that, but it was a great effort from Vandermeer
just to get it across the line.
Because that would have been extra time, and obviously who knows who would have won.
But yeah, Bulldogs, winners of the week. They've revived their season. They're going to head to Port Adelaide, where they've won already this season.
It's quite ironic that in the final round there was that drama out Brisbane just overcoming the Dogs to get into the top 4, and then in the end the Dogs have rendered that completely pointless, and they're exactly where they would be if they didn't finish top 4.
Heartbreaking for the Lions, just missing out on a prelim, going out in straight sets, and they've only won 1 final in since being in the top 8, so it's a bit El Stanco, as they say in Spain.
It really is. I think they've only lost 6 home games in those 3 years, and 4 of them were finals.
We've got a question here from HJip03, and he says, is Brisbane's season a failure?
I think it is when you consider the 3 years in a row they've
at an objective level, I think it is.
Yeah, I think if this was their first year in the finals, like in 2019, when it's straight sets, I think, that's massive. They kind of went one step further in 2020, although it was a disappointing prelim. To go out in straight sets this year, that's a failure. It's not an F grade, but it's a failure to take the opportunity. They needed to do better, unfortunately. Although, tough opponent in the semi. We've been talking about the Dogs as better than the most of the year. So they're unlucky the Dogs were their semi-final opponent.
Went down by a point, lost to Melbourne, the best side in the comp as well. So they've had a rough. Yeah. Like the family dog.
Yeah, but this is a group that's ready to take the next step. Yeah, bit of a failure.
Hopefully Lucky Neil leaves though. We did a video on that yesterday. Go check it out on my channel. We got a few questions on this game. The Master wants to know, where do you think Brisbane will finish next year and why? Do you think they can hold on to a top 4 spot?
Yeah, I think Lockie Neal potentially leaving, and I'm still not convinced he will. But if he does, then that probably takes them out of the top 4.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I still think they're potentially a flag contender next year if everything stays the same. They've got a good young list, a lot of organic growth out of a lot of that youth. They'll be fine.
Another thing that I saw on the internet that was funny this week was Joe Danaher still hasn't won a final. You can take Joe Danaher out of Essendon, but you can't take the Essendon out of Joe Danaher. Last question off the video comes from Peter Marinos, and he wants to know, will the Dogs' momentum from this win get him to a granny, or will Bont's injury prevent it?
That's the $1 million question right now. I think it does rest on Bontempelli's availability, to be honest. When you take out Bont and Waitman from that team, otherwise I think the Dogs have all the momentum.
Yeah.
So do Port, but I just have a stinky Dogs upset feeling.
We're still not ready for an Adelaide.
Stinky Dogs upset. It's not that. It's just that the Dogs play well in finals.
Yeah.
They generally do. And like, I don't know.
Port Adelaide don't. This is the DrewFooty show.
It's not bad. I haven't even locked in my tip yet, but it does rest on Bont's availability. But even with Bont in, I'm still not sure if I'll tip the Dogs. So
stay tuned.
Analysis.
Shorter episode this week off the DrewFooty show. If you want some more footy fix content, make sure you go check out just the tips for all of the preliminary final analysis. We're going to be going to the prelim. So there'll probably be a vlog out on Saturday as well. Lockie Neal vid yesterday. Video coming tomorrow or Thursday as well. Content frenzy, baby. We'll see you in the next video. Take care, you plonkers.
Bye.
I need to wash this dirt to my fingers.
Please leave that in.